this course is going to be an introduction to how Amazon FBA works, how you can get started, and just to give you a ton of information about whether or not you think this might be a business model for you, because we've seen so much success from this program. We know it works, the blueprint's there, and this is going to introduce that. It's going to be very exciting, and I really am so excited for you to be here. So what is Amazon FBA? Well, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, FBA, and essentially what it is Amazon does a lot of the work on your behalf. And what I mean by that is one of the hard parts with growing an e-commerce business is, if you get 2 orders a day, well, what you have to do is you have to process it, right? You'd have to take it down to UPS or FedEx. You'd have to, put it in a box. You'd have to label it. You'd have to pay for shipping. You'd have to ship it out. And that becomes really laborious and tiring and difficult to do once you start getting more than, 1 or 2 orders a day. We've had days where we sold over 1,000 products, in a single day, with my Amazon business. And so it'd be next to impossible to actually handle that scale and not get things confused and be able to ship things out on time. And that is where Amazon comes in, because Amazon allows you to actually, as a third-party seller, right, which actually represents over 50% of Amazon sales, they allow you to take advantage of their fulfillment network and their fulfillment resources, where you can actually buy products in bulk, from China, from a USA manufacturer, from wherever. You might buy 500 units or 1,000 units for $2 each. Ship them into an Amazon FBA warehouse in the USA, right, directly from China, straight to Amazon. You never see or touch any of your products, right? This will all make sense later on. But you can ship it directly from your manufacturer into Amazon. And then Amazon, every time you get a sale from customers that are already browsing Amazon for your product, every time you get a sale, Amazon actually does all of the fulfillment for you. They grab your product, they put it in a box, they put the label on, they ship it out, they handle all of that. And they just literally send you your profit. And so that is why Amazon FBA has been such an amazing process, because it just works, right? And you don't have to do a lot of the work. You can do it from anywhere in the world. And it's just a really amazing way to actually get started making some passive income online. So there are 2 different types of plans, for Amazon FBA. But essentially, Amazon takes a 15% referral fee for you having access to millions and millions of Amazon's customers, right? The last I heard, over 82% of households have an active Amazon Prime membership, which is insane, right? 82% of households in the United States have an Amazon Prime membership. So you can sign up for free as an individual seller, right? You pay a per unit cost every time you sell something, or you can join as what's called a professional seller, where I believe you pay $39.99 a month. And then you don't have any per unit fee. So if you're just getting started, you can sign up as an individual seller. You can always switch it to a professional seller later on once you have some inventory and things like that. So that way you're not paying, any money while you're waiting for your units to actually ship in. You can sign up as an individual and always change it later on. You can sign up just with your own, as a person with your social security number and things like that if you want to, or you can sign up with what's called an LLC, which is a business. All right, what is up, y'all? So this video is going to be about examples of perfect products to sell on Amazon, and I'm going to explain exactly why they're perfect, right? Because it's very important to understand and be able to conceptualize and picture why these products are perfect to sell on Amazon, kind of in your mind, so that every time you actually evaluate kind of an opportunity, with Amazon FBA and when you're doing product research, whether or not you can kind of go through these steps in your head and say, okay, is this going to be a perfect product, right? So, a great example is scrunchies. Scrunchies probably couldn't be any cheaper to create. I would guess that this is literally a piece of rubber with a very small amount of velvet or whatever it is. They're selling it for $10. I can't imagine this being more than 10 cents to create, if that, especially if you're ordering in bulk. And then, another thing that I like to think about is, of course, cost, right? But then breakability. You could probably package this in an envelope, and you could throw it against the ground 100 billion times, and literally it would not break. And then cost of shipping, right? So scrunchies are incredibly cheap, incredibly light. The cost of shipping would be nothing, whether it's by air or by sea. Shipping by sea, the weight doesn't matter as much, but shipping by air, the weight does matter, right? So sea is just volumetric. So if you're shipping, a blown up beach ball, it's going to be the same cost as if you're shipping, 20 bowling balls for the most part. But with air shipping, if you have incredibly light stuff, you can restock faster, especially if you have things that are very small, non-breakable, and extremely light, like scrunchies, for example, so you can maximize your profit margin. Another one that is a great idea, or was a great idea at a certain time, right? All the things that I'm showing now obviously are not the perfect products to sell now. I can't obviously reveal the perfect products to sell now, but these are a perfect example of a product that would be extremely giftable. I love gift products, gift style products for a couple of reasons. When you get a gift from someone, society has told us that it's taboo to return that gift. And so the return rates for gift items or giftable items is significantly lower than the return rate of, say, like an electronic item that people can't figure out, or they don't know how to use, or, it might break in transit and not work correctly, or, whatever the case may be. But if it's a giftable product, right, it's not going to be like that. And this is a product that I've actually sold before, Scratch Off World Map, and we were selling like, $30,000 or more a day, for all of December last year. And now like the overall kind of niche is much more saturated, and it's, not a great product to get into at this point. But when we got into it, it was an incredible product to get into. And we were selling, just silly numbers, in December, because everyone and their mother and their uncle and their aunt was buying somebody a Scratch Off map. And so that's the perfect example of a product that we are not going to restock. We're just going to let it sell itself out during this Q4 and during this December, and then we're never going to restock it. But we'll just make a stupid amount of money again this year, just like we did last year. So another example, right? These costs are like $1 to create if you're buying them in bulk. Sometimes like $1.70 or so to actually get it landed in the United States. And most of them are selling for, some of them are selling for $30, right? So a product that costs $2 that sells for $30, you're selling it for essentially over 15 times more than it actually costs to create. So it gives you a lot of kind of wiggle room when it comes to PPC, when it comes to, having really nice photos done and things like that. And the larger profit margin you can have, obviously, is better because it allows you to like make, smarter decisions about things, and that's always a good thing. So the ultimate example of the perfect Amazon FBA product at one point, right? It has the passion, it has the love, right? People are not concerned about price when they're buying a wedding ring replacement, a silicone ring, right? They're not concerned with price. Even though if you think about it, this probably costs a cent to make. This is literally a tiny piece of rubber. It's not breakable at all, right? It literally has, love and intrinsic meaning and emotional meaning. When people are buying things for their spouse, people that they love, their price sensitivity is incredibly low. This is definitely like a birthday present for dad, or a gift for uncle, or, whatever, I guess a gift for husband, or whatever the case may be, right? And it's literally tiny. You could fit probably 100,000 of these into like a carton if depending on how you packaged it. It literally is never going to break. It weighs probably less than an ounce, less than a gram, or whatever it is, right? It weighs nothing, very non-breakable, costs nothing to make, has that intrinsic value, has that emotional connection, meaning, and has the giftability, right? So this is like the perfect product to sell on Amazon FBA. So I just wanted to show you guys, 3 examples of perfect products to sell on Amazon FBA. So you can kind of get yourself in the mindset, okay, giftable, non-breakable, very light to ship, right? Has like that emotional meaning or connection. A lot of these things can play in, and that's not to say that every product has these. I have a friend who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month selling copper pans on Amazon FBA, which literally is like heavy, big, has no gift meaning or not much of a gift meaning. There's no emotional connection to a copper pan depending on who you are, right? But he still makes a ton of money. So, think outside the box, but this is the general kind of thought process that I like to kind of put people in to really get the ball rolling. We're going to go through the entire Amazon FBA lifecycle. Part 1, where we start, right? The beginning of the whole process is product research. Doing product research, finding a product that has, good revenue, that has between $7,000 and $30,000 a month revenue, generally is a good range. If it's slightly outside that, that's okay, right? But remember, refer back to the 5 steps of product research. Product research is part 1. You want to find something with, relatively high revenues, relatively low amounts of actual reviews, so there's not too much competition. You want to find something that is not trademarked, something that has a relatively high number of monthly searches, and something that you've actually verified is getting sales using the iTrack 999 cart trick method. And remember, you can rewatch all of Module 1. If any of that didn't make sense, as many times as you want. There's never any reason to feel overwhelmed because I got your back. So after you do product research, the next part is you identify manufacturers, and we go over that In Module 2, how to find the best manufacturers in the world, and then how to get the highest quality with the lowest possible cost. We go over a lot of different strategies to really, leverage multiple manufacturers against each other so that you get the best possible value. Once you identify your manufacturer, you want to get a shipping quote from your freight forwarder, right? And again, in Module 2, we introduce the best freight forwarders, the cheapest freight forwarders in the world. They're going to take care of your products and actually make sure that they get from your manufacturer into an FBA warehouse safely. Then you want to have your packaging and logo created. Again, we go over exactly how to do that in the course. Once you have your packaging and logo created, you want to order a sample of your product from the manufacturer that you end up choosing, right? And you want to make sure that the sample that you order is a completed sample, right? That the manufacturer makes the product itself. They also make the packaging with your logo on it. So it really does look how a final product would look. And a lot of people make this mistake where they order just a sample of the product instead of a final sample. And you want to make sure everything is perfect, that the packaging looks good, that they include your all the things that they should include on the packaging, that the product looks good, that it's high quality. And then once you have that product sent to you, that sample sent to you, then you can do product photography, right? You can either send it to yourself or you can send it to a product photographer. If you want to take those images yourself, you can. I definitely recommend using a professional service, which we talk about later on in the course. Again, every step of this entire process we go through in detail. I just wanted to kind of give you a summary up front so you understand that it's actually not that hard, it's not that overwhelming, and it's very, very feasible to do, which is why so many of our students have had so much success doing this. Then you want to create an optimized product listing. So a product listing is nothing more than what you see on Amazon every single day, right? Nothing crazy at all. So once you actually order your sample, get the product photography and create the optimized listing, what you're going to do is you are going to place an order, right? Once you get the sample, the quality looks good, the packaging looks good, everything looks good, then it's time to actually place an order with your manufacturer. And when you first do that, you pay a 30% down payment. So let's say that, you want to order 1,000 units, the total cost is $1,000, just for math being easy, then you would pay 30% of $1,000, right? The total amount you'd pay is $1,000, but for the down payment, you would only pay $300 or 30% of $1,000. That gets manufacturing started, that gets the whole process started, right? And it's basically you giving a good faith to your manufacturer saying, okay, I'm gonna give you 30%, you make it all, and then once it's done, and once I've inspected it, and once it's all good, then I'll give you the final 70%. So when you place your 30% down payment, you want to make sure that you do that on PayPal. You want to use goods and services, and you want to populate that payment with a credit card. And again, remember, we're going to go through all of this in detail in the later modules. Don't worry at all. We're going to go through everything step by step. I just wanted to give you a holistic look. And then once you get the 30% down payment, they make all the units, and then when the manufacturing is completed, you get an inspection service, right? You can get inspection services for $99, super cheap. A third-party company comes in China, looks at all of the units, make sure that they're all completely good, that the quality is high, that everything looks perfect, and then once that final inspection passes, then you pay the manufacturer the final 70%, and everything is good to go, right? Once you pay that 70%, you tell your freight forwarder, which is the company that handles all the shipping, that everything's good. The freight forwarder picks it up from the manufacturer in China, and they actually ship it over to the prep center in the USA. One thing that's important to understand, which we're going to explain more in Module 2, is what's called FOB. FOB, right, or FOB shipping, basically means freight on board. If your manufacturer themselves are going to ship the products from the floor of the manufacturer once they're completed to the port in China, then the manufacturer is going to charge you a fee to do that, right? Because they're handling that element of the shipping. If you want to just make it super easy, just tell the manufacturer, no, once the products are complete, my freight forwarder will pick them up from the factory and then take them all the way to the FBA warehouse in the United States. If you'd rather get a freight on board quote, which means that the manufacturer is going to ship them from the manufacturer to the port in China, and then your freight forwarder is going to take over, then you would pay the manufacturer a very small fee to handle that small amount of shipping from the factory in China to the port in China, right? But again, to simplify things, once your products are actually completed, then just say, hey, freight forwarder, my products are done, they're at this factory, and they need to go to this warehouse. handle it, right? Shipping is something that I never want to deal with. So that's why I found the best freight forwarders in the world. That's why I share them with you. And that's why they can handle all of this for the best prices in the entire world. So once you inform the freight forwarder of the completed order, the product is sent to the FBA prep center, and then there's things like PPC and product giveaways, but those are good things, right? That means that your product is actually selling. That means that everything is going good. That means you're getting your product from obscurity to page one. Using services like Songbase, using services like Pageoneify, all of which we talk about in the course. And now, congratulations, you are officially an Amazon seller making sales. So, yay! Again, I wanted to make this for you guys to make it super simple. Product research, find a manufacturer, get a quote from the freight forwarder to ship your products from your manufacturer to the USA. You have your packaging, your logo created. You order a sample to make sure everything looks good. Once you have that sample, you have a product photographer take beautiful pictures of it. You create an optimized listing. Once you get your sample, everything's good. Then you place an order with your manufacturer. You pay 30% down payment to get everything started. Once your manufacturer is done manufacturing everything, then you get an inspection to make sure all the units look good. You pay the final 70%. Once everything's done, you've paid, your freight forwarder picks it up from your manufacturer in China, gets it to the FBA warehouse in the United States, and then you are now officially an Amazon seller, ready to start making sales.
Now here's a sample business timeline for a typical Amazon physical products business just starting off. This of course will vary greatly and really depends a lot on when you get your first product and inventory in. But in month 1, the goal is to order the inventory, and then hopefully in month 2, your inventory arrives and you're able to launch your product. In month 3, your sales should start kicking in using the various marketing and launch methods we'll be teaching you. And then in month 4, based upon how well your sales are going and doing some projections into the future, that's when you should be reordering your inventory. Then in month 5, your new inventory arrives, and then in month 6, you really start scaling. Now, this entire process can be repeated for your first product until you're able to scale it up to where you want to go, or can be repeated for any additional products that you launch. Now let's go over the 3 different business objectives you can have for your new business. There's cash flow, cash out, or a combination of the 2. And the goals will be different for each one of these. The goal of a cash flow business is to build a cash machine that you can live off of very comfortably for the rest of your life. For cash out, the goal is to build a highly valued business that you can sell and then make a cash windfall off of. And of course, combination is to build a cash machine, but one with potential to sell should you choose to do so. Now, all 3 of these have one thing in common in order to build a business. They all involve ramping up your sales at the beginning in order to increase how quickly you can build profits and to grow the business. After that, though, things vary slightly. For a cash flow business, you want to focus on a good profit margin because your profit margin is basically the salary that you'll be making a living off of. In order to do that, you will need to reinvest part or as much of your profits as you possibly can. Also, you will be able to take some profits out, but the goal here is to keep ramping up your profits to grow your income. Now, for a cash out business, your initial goal after ramping up sales will be to quickly grow your product catalog because that is the easiest and fastest way to grow the value of your company. In order to do that, you'll want to reinvest all of your profits. And then your initial focus will be on sales volume and not so much on profits, but eventually you will need to focus on profits because no one wants to buy a company that is not profitable. And of course, for a combination, it's really just basically a blending of these 2. You'll want to slowly grow your product catalog. You'll want to reinvest most, but not all of the profits. And then the goal here is to grow both sales and profits to give you the most flexibility. Now, in order to achieve success for your business, you need to set goals. And one of those goals should be your financial goal. But what's realistic? How do you know what to set for a financial goal? Well, let's start by looking at some real examples. One member started out the business, and a year and a half later, they sold it for $2 million. Another member started the business, and then within 9 months, they produced $1 million in sales. Another member started out the business and was able to replace their 6-figure income and then quit their job within 12 months. And yet another member started their business, and 3 years later, they have a business generating $12 million a year in sales. Now, these don't really help because it's so hard to determine from these and other people's experiences what's realistic for you. In order to do that, we need to look at what you want to get out of this business. But before we can determine what your financial goal is, we have to first figure out what your real goal is for building this business. Do you want to replace income from a job that you have right now so you can quit that job? Maybe you're miserable in that job and you just want to quit it as quickly as possible. Or are you looking to build up a big business so that you can have a huge cash windfall when you finally sell it? Or maybe you want to build a business that's a true asset that you can pass down to your children. And if any of your goals involve having more free time, what is it you want to do with your free time? Will you still need to have a lot of money so you can travel in style and luxury? Or are you just looking to spend some more free time with the family? So here's what I want you to do right now. Pause the video and then write down what your real goal is without any dollars attached to it. Here's a few examples. My goal is to be able to quit my job within 12 months and still have plenty of money to travel. All right, now, before we can come up with that financial goal is, we also have to know how to calculate profits. And net profits are basically total revenue minus the cost of goods sold minus any other business expenses. Now I'll go over what those mean. Total revenue is what Amazon pays you after they take out all of their fees. The cost of goods sold is an accounting and manufacturing term, and that's basically your product costs, so what you pay the manufacturer, plus any shipping costs. And the shipping costs include all importing costs, the shipping part of that, plus customs, duties, and taxes, and then also shipping the product to Amazon. And any other business expenses might be any type of advertising you do, hosting a website, or maybe if you pay for a email service. Now, a good profit should be anywhere between 25 and 40% for this business. As an example, if we're able to generate $100,000 a month in sales, that would result in $25,000 to $40,000 a month in profit. So now we know what your real goal is, and we know how to calculate profit. It's time to choose your personal financial goal. And since profit is important regardless of your business objective, whether you're creating a cash flow business to live off of, whether you're creating a business that you can sell and cash out on, or a combination of both, you still need to make a profit. So that is the best calculation to use when determining your financial goal. So let's set a profit goal for your business right now. I want you to pause the video after these instructions. Choose a monthly profit goal, choose a time frame to achieve it, and then write it down like this. My business will be producing a profit of so many dollars per month by this date. I want you to do that and then come back to this lesson. Now, no matter what date you just wrote down, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year from now, everyone would like to succeed sooner. So let's talk about a few ways to help make that happen. The first way, of course, is to simply order more inventory initially. That way you'll never run out, and you'll also have more inventory to work with when trying to ramp up your sales. Now, this is a risk, but it should be a calculated risk as long as you follow our guidance and training when doing your product selection. Another thing to do is to choose a product that's lighter and smaller, therefore it can be shipped by air. That'll get your product to you much quicker, and you'll be able to start selling sooner. You can also choose a product that can be sourced right from inside your own country. Again, it should arrive to you quicker, and then the shipping cost should be less as well. However, this does greatly limit your options as far as which products you can choose from. And lastly, you could choose a product that has a higher profit margin. And typically, products that are at the very high end of the bands that we're going to teach you offer a much higher dollar profit margin, and therefore can get you succeeding much sooner. However, those products will cost more money for your initial inventory purchase. Now, speaking of inventory, inventory is the number one way that you can succeed sooner. So let's talk a little bit more about that. One thing to keep in mind is that inventory is not an expense, so don't think of it that way. Inventory is actually an asset for your business. And every time that you're buying inventory, you're actually investing money into your business that you can get back out of your business as you sell your products. Now, almost everyone runs out of inventory initially. This is totally okay. If it happens to you, don't worry about it. It's actually a sign that you have a good product. However, every day that you're out of stock is a day of lost sales. So anything we can do, and typically that's by simply having more inventory, anything we can do to keep that from happening means the faster that you will succeed. Now, other than inventory, there are other ways to succeed faster as well. One is to spend more money on marketing and advertising. Some call this buying your way to the top of Amazon search rankings. Another way is to price your product initially much more competitively than you want to, so you focus more on sales and not so much on profit. You could also pay for professional product images and videos, and that way that would increase the conversion rates of your product detail page. Or you could spend more money branding and packaging your product better than anyone else out there. Each of these will help you succeed much faster than you normally would, but there is a cost for each one of them as well. Earlier in this lesson, we talked about how the amount of time and the level of effort you're able to put into this business will affect how quickly you're able to succeed. So now let's talk about how your financial investment will do the same. Let's imagine we have 3 groups. One will be the slow and steady, then the fast starters, and then the rapid ramp-ups. And the main difference will be what they can invest in this business initially. So let's say that the first group can invest anywhere from $500 up to $3,500, then $3,500 up to $10,000, and then for the rapid ramp-ups, it's really $10,000, $20,000 or beyond. Now here's what it looks like. So for the slow and steady, they'll still be able to get a few samples, plenty for what they need to do. They'll be able to get the minimum inventory they need in order to launch their product and have a basic product launch. They'll have some basic branding. They'll have simple yet effective packaging, And they'll still have a very good social media presence because that doesn't take any amount of money at all. Now, for the fast starters, they'll of course be able to get more samples. They'll have ample inventory to do a full good product launch. They'll have professional looking branding. They'll have professional looking packaging. And then they should be able to come up with a brand website in addition to their social media website. And of course, for the rapid ramp ups, they'll have lots of samples, lots of inventory, be able to do a big product launch or multiple product launches, professional branding and packaging, and they'll be able to even maybe partner up with some social media pros to really boost their product's launch. Now, no matter what group you fall into, do not fall into this trap. Your success is not dependent solely upon your financial investment. As a matter of fact, the most successful people we have seen started out in the slow and steady group. It doesn't do any good to be envious of someone because they have more to put into this financially. Instead, your sole focus should be on achieving your own personal goal, which is completely independent upon everyone else. So how much are you willing to invest in your business? Well, remember, we've had people invest as little as $500 and have still built very successful businesses. Your investment does matter, but it is only one factor in your success. And while risk equals reward, it's important to take calculated risks, not reckless ones. You should only do what you're capable of and what you're comfortable with in order to meet your own goals. So let's do this right now. Write down how much you're willing to invest to build your business. So now that we talked about your financial investment, let's go back and talk even more in depth about your time investment, because time is an investment and will greatly affect how quickly you succeed. You see, at first, you will have lots of downtime. You'll be waiting for samples to arrive. You'll be waiting for your inventory to arrive. You might be waiting for Amazon to check your product in and make it live on their site. But once your business takes off, trust me, you will never have nothing to do. There's all kinds of things you can do when you have the time to do them. They'll be researching additional products, creating content for all types of things like social media sites, emails, your website, launching additional marketing strategies, analyzing your data, which can take a lot of time, such as your advertising return on the investment, the conversion rates of your pages, and then all kinds of product listing testing and improvements to it. Now, how much time you have to invest is completely up to you. There is no right or wrong answer. It's partially dependent upon your goal and how quickly you want to succeed, and also upon what you have to offer.
Let's get into Seller Central, guys. This is where the magic happens. This is where all the money is made with Amazon FBA. And it does look a little bit overwhelming at first, but I promise you guys, it's actually not that bad. And we're going to go through all the things that you're going to be able to need, that you're going to want to need most. You don't have to have your Seller Central name the same as the name of your LLC. Right? It can be different, but it is important for it to match. And we'll go into this more later on, is that your Seller Central name, right? The name of your store. And we can actually look really quickly at like an Amazon store, just so you guys kind of see what I'm talking about. So this is what an Amazon store is, right? Let's just type in malls. What you'll see is the name of the actual seller right here is Click and Play, right? And so that does not necessarily mean that their LLC is called Click and Play. It could, but it doesn't mean that. What's important is you want your Amazon Seller Central name, which you set up when you sign up for your account. You want that name to match what you trademark. And so they probably are going to trademark like Click and Play products, right? Like the actual word mark, which again, we'll talk about later on, so don't worry about it. But what this allows you to do is it gives you protection if your Seller Central name matches your trademark. If people are trying to hijack onto your listing, again, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it just makes things easier. When you register for a trademark, it allows you to get brand registered. It allows you a lot of protection against, scummy people who want to do you wrong on Amazon if your Amazon Seller Central name matches your trademark. So don't worry about any of that right now. Remember, we're going to go through the entire course before we actually do or implement anything so we don't make mistakes. But it's just something to keep in mind that you want your Amazon Seller Central name to match what you're going to eventually file a trademark for to protect yourself from people that are trying to do you wrong. So this, guys, is Seller Central. This is actually a live account that I used to have. We had a couple of test products in here. This is going to be the Seller Central account that is actually going to be used throughout the entire course. So we see that we actually have some stuff live here. We're selling a conversion ping pong table set, which actually does incredibly well. We're selling a 24-inch round color spinning prize wheel, and we're selling some Moscow mules and some other stuff that are out of stock. And so this is Seller Central, guys. This is what you're going to see every single time you do log in. And so most of the stuff that we're going to be using, guys, is in the manage inventory right here, right? This is where you add products. This is where you add variations. This is where you do a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. We don't often use this pricing dashboard because you can actually just set the price in the edit screen, which is how I do it myself and how I teach people to do it. Orders you don't really use as often. This is more for what's called FBM, right? Fulfilled by merchant. If you're actually like shipping out like handmade towels or something from, wow, my examples are so bad. If you're shipping out like handmade pillows from your house, right, and you're shipping them out one at a time, then you might use managed orders more often, or if you have to deal with like customer service and stuff like that. But this is more so for FBM, which is fulfilled by a merchant. We are all doing FBA, which is the much more scalable option, right? Because if you FBA stands for fulfilled by Amazon, and so what that means is if you sell 1 unit a day or you sell 1,000 units a day, Amazon will fulfill all of those for you. You don't have to go to FedEx or UPS and actually package all of this stuff yourself. And so we're not going to use orders too much. Advertising and inventory are definitely the two things that you're going to use most often. We're going to talk extremely in depth about the advertising section later on in the course when we actually go into marketing. We're going to talk about how to sell things via Amazon's internal platform, Amazon PPC. All right, we're going to talk about how to sell your products on Amazon with Instagram. We're going to talk about how to sell your products on Amazon with Facebook ads, the best way. We're going to go super, super deep into marketing, and we're going to tell you everything that you possibly need to know about that. This is just meant to be kind of a introduction to Seller Central, just so it doesn't look as overwhelming, right? And then obviously you have some reports here, which we're going to talk about later on, and then performance if you ever have any issues like with your account or claims or anything like that. And so that, guys, is the overall kind of little tutorial. Really quickly, I want to jump into the edit section because, again, this does look a little bit overwhelming for people when they first start out, but it's actually not that bad, right? So this is where you put your title, very simple. This is where you put your manufacturer, your brand name, things like that. If you have any variations, but variations aren't available for this category, this is where you set your offer. If you want to put a sale price, right? If you want to say, well, it's normally $250, but we're going to have a sale price of $199, right? So Amazon would show a strike through here, and this would be the final price that your customer would pay. Most of this stuff is inapplicable to these type of products. Like if you're selling things with lithium ion batteries and things like that, or if you have applicable dangerous goods regulations, right? But that's obviously not applicable for a ping pong table. This is where you put your images, very self-explanatory, obviously. Your description, right? These are kind of like the bullets that show on an Amazon listing and things like that. And so this is where you put search terms and things. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's very, very simple. And most of the time that we spend in Seller Central, again, will be in the inventory section and in the advertising section. So that is your overview for Seller Central, guys. This video is going to be about how to actually ship your products from China directly to the manufacturer inside of an Amazon FBA warehouse in the USA. And so how you actually have to do this is a little complicated at first for some people, but if you actually think about it logically, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because what ends up happening eventually is you need to have a barcode to send to your manufacturer to actually create like a little sticker and put it on each box so that your inventory is completely ready to be scanned in by Amazon when it actually arrives. Because you're never actually getting the inventory. Like they don't ship it to you and you ship it to Amazon. Your manufacturer ships it straight to Amazon. And trust me when I tell you, you want it that way. And so in order to actually ship your products from China to the Amazon FBA warehouse directly, you have to have like all of your barcodes and things kind of figured out. And then you basically just send your supplier an email with the carton labels and with the UPCs to actually put onto the product itself. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to go to add a product, and we're going to create a new product listing right here. And let's just use the example of a coffee mug. We're going to choose coffee mugs right here. And it auto-populates this little thing, this little kind of, template menu thing, vital info, right? Product ID. So there's a couple ways to do this. There's a way to do a GTIN exemption that we're going to talk about just briefly if you don't want to do UPCs, but most people do UPCs, right? So there's been arguments and controversy for literally like a year or more about whether or not you're supposed to use what's called GS1, which is Amazon's officially recommended UPC provider, but other people use other things that are significantly cheaper, right? And so if you see GS1 right here, 1 through 10 is $250 plus a $50 annual fee. So for 10 UPCs, and UPCs are just barcodes that every product has, right? Universal product code. So it's like $300 for 10 here, or if you use a different one, for 10, it's $37 instead of $300, right? And so, basically the summation of all of this controversy and what everybody's talking about is Amazon tells you when you try to create a product listing, like here, I'll use a UPC, and this is just the UPC that I bought from Nationwide Barcodes, right? From the much cheaper version. When I paste it in here, it says the validity of a product ID is checked against the GS1, GEPI, and ISBN databases. If your product ID is not registered with GS1, then the linked ASIN will be suppressed, and it may result in removal of your product creation privileges, right? And so this is basically a warning that says not to do it and that you should use GS1. If you want to err on the side of caution, right, use GS1. I personally still use Nationwide Barcode because I have, a bunch of them that I already bought, and it's literally like 10 times cheaper for Nationwide. And Amazon still allows me to create product listings using Nationwide barcodes, the cheaper barcodes, right? And I think it's very, very unlikely, personally, right, that Amazon is going to go and retroactively mess around with listings that have used Nationwide or any of the other millions of UPC services, because it would just destroy their catalog. But if you want to err on the side of caution, right, then just get GS1 barcodes directly and pay the $300 and for 10 UPCs. And then, in the grand scheme of things, $300 is not that much money for, the ability to list 10 UPCs. Or if you want to save a little bit of money and, live on the wild side like me, then use nationwidebarcode.com. And these are actually purchase barcodes for Amazon. So if we come to the actual site itself, then you'll see barcodes for Amazon right here. And then it says the pricing right here, and you just choose how many you want, and that's it. So it's pretty easy. So the safe way is GS1 for $300. A little bit less safe way, but the way that I personally do is Nationwide barcodes for $37.50. And I'll continue to use Nationwide barcodes until Amazon literally does not allow me to create a product listing without using GS1. If they ever force me to use GS1, then because at the time of making this video, you can still use and create Nationwide barcodes. We're doing it every single day, but Amazon may eventually, right? And I want to make sure you guys always know what to do. Amazon may eventually force you to use GS1, and then you'll just have to pay the more expensive price. Or, if they force you to use GS1 and you don't want to pay the more expensive price, you can research what's called a GTIN exemption request. We're not going to go into that because most people don't need it. But if they force you to do the GS1, you really can't afford the GS1, then just Google search or YouTube search how to do a GTIN exemption. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's a way that you can avoid paying the GS1 pricing if you really don't want to. Okay, cool. So we're gonna make this. We're just gonna say coffee mug for mom. We're gonna say the brand name is Coffee Mugs, 3Zs. The offer, and this isn't that important right now, because all we're doing right now is creating a listing so that we can actually get the what's called the FN SKU, right? Because the FN SKU is what we're gonna have to send to our supplier. And once we send that to our supplier, then they're gonna be able to print out like little stickers that they're gonna put on every single one of our coffee mugs. And then once they're sent from the manufacturer to Amazon, Amazon's able to actually scan all of those in, right? So we're just gonna put like 19.99 here. We're gonna put new. And the fulfillment channel, I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items if they sell, right? This is Amazon FBA. I want to ship this item myself. This is Amazon FBM, right? Fulfilled by merchant. So we're going to save and finish here. Your listing is being created. This process may take up to 30 minutes. Please check back and change your listing fulfilled by Amazon at that time. So we're just going to press continue. All right, and I'm going to pause the video really quick, and then once it's actually up, then I'm going to show you guys the next step. All right, guys, so here's the listing that we looked at. So if we click this one right here, then we can do action on. And what we're going to do is, normally you do print item labels, but sometimes it gives you an error, right? So no items submitted. I wanted to show you guys that because I've just had so many students ask me about that particular error. So what we're going to do to fix that is click this little checkbox and then go to change to fulfilled by Amazon. Even though I know we selected that to start, it's like this weird thing that just happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to convert and send inventory and save and continue. It's just there below. This form has not been completed. Add dangerous good information. Is this product a battery? Just utilize batteries? No. Product regulation information. Is this product considered dangerous? No. Is there hazardous material? No. It's a copy mug. Submit. And now we're going to save and continue. So now what we're able to do, right, and we're going to actually go back into inventory because I'm going to show you guys how to actually send inventory in a second, because this is how you get what's called your carton label. So two things that you need to send to your manufacturer at the end of the day are your FN SKU, right, which is basically just like a little barcode like you see on any products. Right, that's one thing. The second thing that you need to send is called the carton label. So let's say that you have like 100 coffee mugs. Each one of those 100 coffee mugs is in a little cardboard package. It has a little sticker with the UPC on it, right? And then let's say that 100 of those fit inside of one carton. Then you'd also need one carton label. So you'd have 100 little FN SKUs all printed on the box that the coffee mug is inside, right? All 100 all have their own little sticker. And then all of them are inside one carton, and then that carton has a carton label. We're going to show you how to do both of those right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to print item label. And what we're going to do is go to print item labels right here. And so this is going to download something. And so we're going to send this to our manufacturer. And this is the little barcode right here where it allows Amazon to actually scan this. So we're going to save this to our desktop. We're going to call this coffee mug FN SKU. And this is one of the two things that we need to send to our manufacturer. This is what goes on each individual cardboard packaging for every single one of our products. And so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to inventory here. And we're going to we're going to click this little box and we're going to go to send replenish inventory. And this is going to open up the workflow for actually creating carton labels and telling them, what's going on with the shipping plan. So the two different things here, and I want to actually bring this up. Individual products, if your shipment consists of individual items with different SKUs and in different conditions. It's almost never individual products because it would be very strange to put different products in like the same cartons and things like that. Case pack products, if your shipment consists of cases previously packaged by the manufacturer that contain identical items with matching SKUs in the same condition, excuse me. So we're going to click this and we're going to go to continue to shipping plan. And what we're going to do is we are going to actually fill this out. So your supplier is going to be able to tell you how many units are coming, per case. They might say, yeah, well, okay, so 48 units fit per case, and you guys ordered 200 or whatever the case may be, so there's going to be a number of cases, right? So something that I like to do actually, and this is a good little note to take down, is you want to ask up front how many units are going to be in each case, right? Because Well, and the reason that I say that is because if they say 48 units fits per case, but you order 200 units, then there's going to be that awkward 48 times 4, right? So there's going to be like 8 missing units, and then it just gets a little tricky. Instead, order 48. If they say there's 48 per case, right, or per carton, then order 48 times X, like the number of cartons that you want to reach that number that we taught you how to do when you're actually inventory forecasting and choosing how many products that you want to sell to be able to sell, and factor in giveaways for that 90-day or that 3 month period. So let's just assume that they said there's 48 units per case. And let's say that we wanted to buy, 48 times 4, then there'd be 192 total units here. Your supplier is going to be able to give you the measurements in inches. I usually just keep it inches. They usually give it to you in centimeters, but I'll do inches. So let's just guess that it's 12 inches by 4 by 6, or something like that, right? And let's say that it's 0.5 pounds. And again, your manufacturer is going to tell you exactly, what's going on with this. So you can just like literally enter it. So we're going to go save, and then continue. And so we are going to prep this, right? Because how I prefer to do things is your manufacturer literally does everything. They package it, they put the UPCs, they put all the codes, everything that you need onto it, and then they just ship it completely finished and ready to kind of be ready to roll to the manufacturer. And so we're going to go to continue. And for this one, all products must have the scannable barcode for non-commingled products, and Amazon product label will need to be affixed to each unit. You can print off and apply the labels on this page, or have Amazon apply the labels for you for a fee. Right, so we're going to go to continue. And it's going to create your shipping plan here, right? And you can call it whatever you want. You can say like coffee mug shipping plan. And then it's going to show you ship to LGBA Rialto, California, right? And so this is going to be the actual address that you're going to ship to. And so we're going to approve the shipment here. And then the kind of the last thing that happens here is it's going to give you the carton labels, right? And all of this stuff you can actually just work out with your freight forwarder. And so I'm going to talk about exactly who we use and who we recommend for freight forwarding. But I would always check with your freight forwarder because I, to be perfectly honest, hate dealing with shipping, and I'm not a shipping company. But we're going to give you guys and introduce literally the cheapest, best quality shipping company that I've ever seen and that I've ever used and I've ever worked with. We're going to talk about that in a second. So we're just going to leave this how it is. How will this shipment be packed? We'll do multiple boxes. Right, and then how will you provide box content? You can use the web form. So you can basically just write the same thing, 48 units per box. Number of boxes, box weight, right? They'll tell you all of this stuff, box dimensions. You could say 12, 24, 36, something like that. Confirm. So you can calculate the shipping charges here. And then this is basically going to give you your shipping fees. It's that I agree to the terms and conditions. And then you press accept charges, right? And then you can print the box labels here. And the box labels are your carton labels. So I'm not actually going to do this because this is just like an explanatory. This is just an explanatory kind of tutorial. I'm not actually creating the shipping plan. And Amazon would actually charge me if I click this button. But you just press this button, right? And then the last thing you do is print box labels. And the two things that you're sending to your supplier are the box labels or the carton labels or whatever you want to call it. And then also your FN SKU that we downloaded that I showed you exactly how to do. And those are the two things that your supplier needs to be able to, properly label all of your individual products and then properly label the cartons that your products are inside. So that is the shipping plan. That is generating an FMQ from a UPC, right? We talked about GS1. We talked about nationwide barcode. We talked about the GTIN exception if you're really not trying to use GS1 and they are disallowing sometime in the future using nationwide barcode. In this video, we're going to talk about how many units to order on your first order, right? Because this is a question I get all the time and it's very important because I think a lot of people have this misconception that they should order 500 units, right? Or 100 units or something crazy like that. And we're going to talk about mathematically how to break it down because it depends on what product that you're going to invest in, what niche that you found, what you think is going to be a good product after doing your due diligence, right? Because, whether it's a garlic press or something that sells much more popularly or something that sells much less so than a garlic press, obviously you'd want to order different quantities, bearing in mind the long-term storage fees of over 180 days. So let's teach you guys exactly how we're going to do this. So we are going to come in and type in garlic press, obviously, which would be like the highest volume keyword related to the garlic press niche. And what we're going to do is we're going to run market intelligence here. And we are going to take this whole thing, right, the first 16 on page 1, and we are going to export. All right, we're going to open this up and let's take a quick look, right? Because what we're concerned with here is monthly sales. So monthly sales added up right here is 14,720. 14,720. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a calculator and we're going to type in 14,720 and we're going to divide by 16. So that means that the average seller on page 1 sells 920 units per month. So if we divide that by 30, right, we see that they're selling about 30 a day on average, right? So if they're selling 30 a day on page 1, what I like to do, guys, and this is a general rule that I follow. You never want to be in stock longer than the 180-day long-term storage mark, because I showed you guys that the fees get like 20 times more expensive, and it's just crazy, right? You never want to be in stock less time than I would argue about 3 months, right? And the reason for that is because to get products made and to get them shipped from China on a ship available for sale in a warehouse in Amazon, I've found takes normally at the maximum about 3 months to do, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this 30 units per day times 3 months, right? 3 months times 30 days is obviously 90 days, right? Times this 30 here, we see is 2,700 units, right? And so I know that probably seems like a lot. I'm just going to actually write this out. 30 units per day times 90 days. Right, so 2,700 units probably seems like a lot because people have like this weird misconception in their brain that they want to do 500 units to start. But I've seen this happen so many times, like even with my students, because I know it's like hard and you have to, have a lot of faith, especially to invest more money and more units. But if you do your due diligence correctly and you're actually like eye tracking and doing the 999 card trick on like as many of these people as you possibly can, right? The way that I just showed you how to do is the fast way. It's how to calculate an average for sales. But if I was going to invest money, I would be checking, at least like the top 5 with the iTrack 99 cart trick method, because that's true source from Amazon sales data. And if you can get 5 of these guys into your iTrack and you can tell, okay, they had 100 yesterday, they have 70 today, they have 40 tomorrow, then they're obviously selling 30 a day. If you know for sure from the iTrack and the 999 card trick method on like a niche that you're going to enter, I feel 100% confident making this calculation. I feel 75% confident using market intelligence. It's the best piece of software, right? I trust them a lot from a sales perspective. And if you average out everybody on page 1, it gives you a better idea of what's going on. And if you want to be super slick with it, you can exclude these little ones right here that are review outlier and sales outlier. So we see that they have 3,700 and everyone else has significantly less right here. And so, generally I'd like to err on the side of caution And so I would probably take out like the top maybe two from a sales perspective that are high, and I might take out like the top two that are low. So we see that that one is pretty low, and we see 220 is pretty low. So if we do this and we export it, and this is like erring on the side of caution. I prefer to err on the side of caution, to be honest. We see now that I don't think those actually got removed. So this is or blue, so we'll just remove it manually. Or blue, Uber Chef, delete, and we'll delete Alpha Grillers, which is actually kind of sad, to be honest. And finally, we'll delete Sum Kuku. Sum Kuku. Okay, cool. So let's recalculate this and see how much it changes the average. So monthly sales, right? So now our new number is 8,256. 8,256, and we see that there is 12. So it's obviously going to be a lower number. Let's do 8,256 divided by 12 is 688 units per month. And if we do that divided by 30 days, you see it's 23 units, right? So 23 units per day times 90 days times 90 is 2,064. So it's 2,064 versus the original calculation of 2,700. And you know, whether you like to go all in and bet on the fact that Amazon is a beast, which it obviously is, or you want to err on the side of caution, there's two different ways for you to kind of do it. I'm more so kind of in this boat just because I understand the power of Amazon now, especially with like holidays. If you have a giftable item, like I recommended that you should, you know, with holidays, with Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, you know, and especially obviously Q4 from December 1st till December like 21st or 22nd. Amazon is just freaking insane. Like it's unbelievable how Amazon is. Like your sales can 2x or they can 10x. And so this is generally how I like to do it, guys, when I'm kind of doing my calculations on how many units to order. The second thing to bear in mind, let's actually err on the side of caution. Let's decide that we chose 2,064 units, right? Because that's the 23 per day times 90 days. We have one more consideration. This is units to order, but we also have to think about giveaways, right? And what giveaways are is the way that you artificially boost your listing to page one. And things have been changing a little bit, but I really don't think that Amazon's going to be able to get away from giveaways. Giveaways are probably either going to stay similar to how they are now, or people are going to have to figure out how to sell their products at full price. And then people are going to be reimbursed on PayPal, and the same type of like sales velocity is going to happen. And if this sounds like complete gibberish to you, don't worry, because we're going to talk about this really in depth in the launch module of how to get your product to page one, because it's a super important part of being, you know, a successful seller on Amazon. So these are the 2,064 units, but we actually have to think about one more thing. A giveaway means that you're basically giving away units for free to trick Amazon's algorithm into artificially putting your product onto page one. And when people are searching for garlic press and they see your product on page one, as long as you have a few good reviews and you have, you know, a very well built listing with beautiful pictures and things like that, they're going to buy from you. And so what we have to do is do 7 days, right? Because most giveaways last between 3 and 7 days. I like to err on the side of caution here. So 7 days of giveaways times the 23 units per day is 23 times 7 is 161, right? Additionally, so we're going to type 161 here. And then we're going to add the 2,064. And so that's going to give us a final order amount of 22225. And that, guys, is how you do basic inventory forecasting. The biggest thing that, you know, would be a differential would be once you kind of understand what's going on with holidays. So like, for example, when we do inventory forecasting for one of my companies that's very gift oriented, we'll literally order 10 times as many units because we know we're going to sell 10 times as many units from December 1st to December 23rd. So 22 extra days. Instead of multiplying it by 1, we'll multiply it by 10 and we'll order that many more units. And so when you're first getting started, it's very, very difficult to do that. And so I generally recommend that you err on the side of caution unless you have some disposable income and you want to bet on Amazon, right? What you can do if you want to be a little bit more risky is you can come into like Camel, for example, and let's just choose one of these really quick. So let's choose the good old alpha thrillers. We'll grab the ace in here. We'll put this in. And then what we can do is we can look at the sales rank and we can actually look at when things spiked up. So if we look at May, October, March, August, right? So this is August of 2015. We see September of 2017 here. So we see that there's no major change for this particular product with the BSR. It's very, very consistently extremely high, right? So it's been selling a ton all year round. There's no major spike for Christmas. But like, for example, if we went in here and typed in like Christmas stockings or something like that, we might see something different. Let's take a look. We're gonna skip the sponsored ones and just come into this top one. Grab this here. We're gonna paste in this ASIN into Camel. And what I would expect to see is really high little rankings, yeah, right around Christmas. So you see that like in June, they drop all the way down to 810,000 in the bestseller ranking. But then right when it gets to November and December right here, it jumps all the way up to being like literally almost at number one. Meaning these are selling like absolutely crazy. Obviously all right around Q4 and Christmas time. And this is an extreme example because it's literally Christmas stockings. But you can tell if things are seasonal around, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, like Halloween costumes. Or I have friends who sell Halloween costumes. I have friends who sell paper plates that have footballs on them, and they sell them one time a year just for Super Bowl parties, and they literally make like hundreds of thousands of dollars in that one like week or two leading up to the Super Bowl because they just sell just an unbelievable amount of paper plates. And so that, guys, is how you do inventory forecasting. Again, just to kind of summarize, what we're doing is we are literally doing a kind of a viral launch. We're doing a summation of the amount sold, kind of taking out the outliers, dividing it by 30, right? Because these are monthly sales to get kind of a per day's number of sales, just because it makes it easier. Obviously, you can just multiply it by 3 if you want also, but it just makes it easier for me to get per day because it helps with giveaways and things like that. Once you have per day, then I multiply it by 90 days because I like to have 3 months stock. I like to order 3 months stock because that's generally how long it takes to reorder. So once you kind of start to get low, a little bit lower, then you reorder, right? Once you kind of get that, once you get your feet wet, once you feel those sales, once you kind of start to see, okay, this does work, I can make a bunch of money doing this if I'm doing things correctly, then you'll start to get a sense of how many you're actually consistently selling, how many you start to sell for holidays and things like that. And then if you're riskier, you can look at Camel and Google Trends and things like that to see and try to guess maybe ordering more units. But sometimes it's fun selling out and just not having like the kind of stress and feeling like you're ordering way too much. And so that's kind of how you order for 90 days. You never want to reach that 180-day long-term storage, guys. I know that I provided you value, so what I want you to do is to like this video. I want you to leave a comment on this video. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe, turn on notification bells so that you will be the first person to be notified every time we drop a brand new video. If you want to learn more, I do have a completely free course, and there will be a link down underneath this description, guys, completely for free, 100%. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and let's get to the next.